Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Journey to Becoming a Head Coach. As always, I am your host, Jeff Freeman. And again, thank you all for all the love and excitement and how everything's been going, especially for all the birthday wishes. As yesterday was my wonderfully 34th birthday. And I feel like I'm getting kind of old, but it is what it is. So this is probably going to be the last video in this series as far as Journey to Becoming a Head Coach, only because of we are in the middle of a quasi-weird season, and we'll get to it with all the COVID pandemic stuff and everything else going on. But as far as where we're at, it just seems like this might be a good spot to end it for now until, obviously, we finish our season. Then I can give you all a season review of the full second season as far as did we have a season, did we not. But this is where we're at in the current status as of the day of January 26, 2021. So where we are at practices, our numbers continue to drop. We are losing seniors, we are losing juniors at a rapid rate, and that is primarily because they see the writing on the wall. They're seeing that track and cross country and even baseball that's going to get to the red tier is going to have 3 quarters to possibly a full season. And they're thinking that season was missed out last year, especially track and baseball and softball. So the parents and players are starting to look at it and say, well, why would we continue with football? And part of me, I get it, because if we play 1 or 2 games, like especially us in our county, we only have 3 high schools total, so we're going to play 2 games. And what happens if, that student athlete goes down, broken collarbone, jacked up ankle, shoulder, whatever that may be? And let's just say they're out for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and now they're missing more of that spring season that they could have had fully healthy. So I understand the argument. I get it. It's not their fault. It's not our fault. It's not necessarily anybody's fault. Again, depending on who you talk to, they might say there's a mismanagement on the government side or the political side, however you want to try and move it. But all in all, this is where we're at. We got these tier systems. We got put into place. They move the goal line every single time. It was death rate, then it was positivity rate, then it was tier systems. Now it's tier systems and ICU rates. Now it's, all these different things. So again, they just keep moving the end line. And now I think at least our students, I can't speak for everybody, but as far as a lot of our students here, the football program is beginning to just dwindle down to very little. Like I said in the last video, we were at 107 football players in June. By the time we came back in January, we're at 58. That's total. 3 teams down to 58. That's basically barely averaging 20 per team. So at this point, I don't know how many kids hold on as they start to see other players move. I assume the players that do not have another sport to play will stick around all the way up until the very end. And there really is not an end, to be brutally honest, because once we're done, if we choose to take that route, what would essentially happen is we'll just have a weight room slot where they can come in, lift, do their speed, agility, quickness, and then that would be it. There wouldn't be any on the field things of that nature. Sorry, a little phone call there. But anyway, our numbers continue to drop. The Sports U let them play movements. I mean, they've been huge. We had a let them play movement out here. There's a huge California let them play. This is some of their health stats they put out there. It's part of that Sports U. It's kind of like another Facebook or another band app, whatever you want to call it. It's another social media platform. And primarily coaches are a part of it. There's again, someone's going to probably correct me on this, but I know there's over 230, 250 schools that are a part of it. I am a part of it. We've shared our data. This is where they're getting it from. They're getting it from coaches that are sharing their experiences with what students are telling them, what their student athletes are telling them. And so this is what we're looking at. And, 77,000 youth reported frequent suicidal ideation. I mean, that was from January to September of 2020. I mean, that's where we're at on that. 116 kids are taking psychotropic medication. 97% of parents believe their child would have improved their mental and physical health with return to organized sports. And here's the thing, it's coming. The return to organized sports is coming. It's just it's not coming fast enough to really help with a lot. And a staggering number of 121 children want to hurt themselves. 74% of kids show signs of anxiety. I mean, and again, these could be shock numbers. I don't know. Over half of 11 and 17-year-olds reported having thoughts of suicide. I can tell you've had a couple players reach out to me and say they've had some dark thoughts and things of that nature. But we got it taken care of real quick. Reached out to parents, reached out to admin, and got it taken care of. So I mean, it's things that can be controllable as long as there's communication, but it shouldn't happen. Is the issue? Is that we shouldn't be here, but at the same time, everything is all in hindsight 2020. What we could have done a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and what we're going to be able to tell ourselves in June or July. What we could have done now, looking back, is like, hey, well, we should have been able to been here. But again, hindsight is always right. Captain Hindsight for those of you that are South Park fans, Captain Hindsight's always right. So again, it's a tricky thing. And then the let them play movement, the parents are doing the rallies, and they've been doing an awesome job with that. Keeping it non-political, keeping it just hey, we want to show support for our athletes and our students, and we want them back on the field, the court, wherever that may be. And they've done a fantastic job. They've been meeting with the governor and all that stuff. I mean, these movements are working very fast. And just unfortunately, I don't know if they're moving fast enough to really save the football season. I mean, I'm sure some counties will. Again, like some counties have 8, 9 high schools. We have 3. And I don't even know if the other 2 want to play yet. I don't know. I haven't heard. So, I mean, we'll find out. I mean, we might have a super small season of 2 games, but then again, you got the same issue with kids dropping, opting out, forfeiting because, again, they don't want to get hurt. They want to have their spring season. So we'll see how that goes. So practices are continuing to drop. We're coaching the kids that are there. We're coaching our butts off. They're working their butts off. It's a very great environment when we're there. And then when I just sit back and I take stock of the players that should be there and where we should be, that's what kind of gets me like, man, we should be here, we should be there. But these kids are just working their butt off, and we're doing great, and they're doing great. It's just, you got to look for the positive, but you just sit back and you think, and you're like, man, these kids could be doing so much more, and these students could be doing so much more if we actually had a legitimate season. And again, you can try and put fault, but there really isn't a fault at this point. The tier system. So here we go. This is what's kind of causing all the issues here. And plus, they're saying you can't play more than one sport at a time, so you can't have baseball going to basketball practice, or baseball going to football, or football going to cross country or track, or anything like that. So that's causing the other issues, which is causing students to make choices. And like, well, if I can't play double sports, I'm going to switch, which is hurting your small schools. In California, that's really Division 4 a little bit, but really Division 5 on up, where we share a lot of athletes. And I mean, pretty much we have 3 sport athletes all across the board. We share a lot of our athletes. So purple tier, track, cross country, golf, those are the ones we have. I know there's a lot more. You got badminton, I miss swimming and diving and all that stuff. That's mainly a spring and winter sport for this season. They're combining spring and winter. Baseball and softball will be able to play in red. Football and soccer get to play in orange. And then yellow's got the longer road between basketball and wrestling. That one's going to be an interesting one. But again, with this let them play movement, maybe they get on a lot faster. I don't know. And that's the other thing. I talked to coaches across the state, up and down at different high schools, and some some of these high school coaches, basketball, wrestling, and soccer, they haven't even bought new uniforms. Like, we're not having a season. But with this let them play movement, you never know. So that's kind of one of those tricky things. I'll get to the next slide is when I tell you kind of what's going on, where we're at now at season 2.5. So, but in any case, football has to get to there. Those are actually the current numbers as of today: 71.6 new cases per 100,000 with a 12.4 positivity rate. So I mean that's pretty much where we're at as a state for different counties. I mean, as you can see, there's only 3 counties in red, 1 county's in orange, so they could be playing football this week technically. I don't know if they are. I have no idea if they're even having games. That'd be interesting to kind of take a look and see. That's Sierra County. That'd be interesting to know if they're playing. I know they do. They have some 8-man football teams too. That'd be interesting to know if they're playing already. Or planning on playing already. So that'd be an interesting one. But we're in purple. Pretty much majority of the state's in purple. We got to get to red to play baseball and softball. And I think it's girls lacrosse. I don't know. Girls lacrosse and boys lacrosse are in different tiers. But we got to get all the way to orange. And it just seems like a far climb, especially when baseball, track, cross country, golf, all these other sports can start playing games in the middle of March. So that's where the trick comes in. You got these 2-3 sport athletes, and they're sitting back and they're waiting. And they're sitting back and they're waiting. They're like, well, if we don't have a sport, I could be over here playing and actually getting ready to play games. So I've had a lot of kids come up to me like, Mr. Freeman, Coach Freeman, we kind of want to dip and go do baseball. And I tell them, I was like, hey, good luck. And they go, you're not going to try and convince me. It's like, in my opinion, I would be a jerk if I try to convince them to stick around for a season that may or may not happen. I'm at that point now where it's like, we've been coaching for 7, almost 8 months. And I'm just looking at it as like they've been practicing, some of them for 7, 8 months with no game in sight, nothing scheduled. So I have a hard time saying, no, you need to be here, you need to fight, you need to finish to the end. I have a hard time saying that when right around the corner they're probably going to get a full season of track or baseball or golf or cross country. So I have a hard time trying to convince them. And parents are just saying, yeah, stay in, stay in. It's just it's a hard thing for me to do philosophically, as far as like just to hold that against them and say, no, you got to stay with me and finish football to the end. And I don't care if you get hurt in the one game we play, you got to finish football like that. I don't know. To me, that just seems very selfish. So I've been very open to my seniors, and I think I incidentally opened a door there. At first, it was just one senior. I didn't even open this up to them. The senior came up to me and explained to me. I said, yeah, go for it. And then another senior, and another senior, and then eventually I pulled all the seniors aside, and then the juniors saw that. Now the juniors are taking that. So I might have incidentally opened up a door, opened up a gate. But again, at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like the gate was going to open sooner or later, depending on how much longer we're stuck in red or in orange. So, and that'll be the other interesting thing is, let's just say in 3 weeks we're getting close to orange. Like, do all these kids try to come back? I don't know. I don't know if they'd be allowed to. I don't know if they could. So that's kind of that setup. And again, this is going to be a short video, but here we go. Season 2.5. Budget. Our budget is jacked, and that's primarily because we didn't have games. I had budgeted perfectly. If we had had games, so we are short basically $10,000, and that $10,000 would have been covered by our snack bar. And we do our budgets, out in January and February, and then we adjust accordingly. And so I was purchasing things, I was getting things ready to go. I was doing exactly follow the budget to the T. And now we're about $10,000 short, and the company that we go through is kind of threatening to withhold shipments to other sports, and constantly on us weekly about when we're going to make a payment. And it's like, hey, you know what? Back in March and April when we did all this, and COVID had kind of shut us down, you guys were being very thoughtful, kind of like, hey, we're going to work with you. And now it's kind of that point where it's like, well, now all of a sudden corporate, like our rep is working with us, but corporate's kind of like, get that money in, get that money in, get that money in. It's like, well, hey, I'm actually one of the only sports on campus that actually fundraise. And I'm the only one that, to my knowledge, is making payments because I'm the only one that bought and is spending. So we're $10,000 in the hole. We got a couple more fundraisers trying to get us out, but I mean, there's really nothing I need to buy from now until the end of next season, because we've got everything we needed for this season. And since we didn't use it, we can use it for the following season, and that's assuming we don't have any games. So that's the interesting trick. It's like you're trying to budget for a season that's kind of happening, and budget for a season that hasn't happened yet, and for a season that's supposed to happen. So it's a weird thing. And then also games. I mean, the game schedule just got so jacked. At first, it was like, okay, well, we play some teams in the north section. They all pulled out. They were going to create their own thing. So then we got schools in our area to join us. Well, now that's all gone. And now we're kind of like, okay, well, does the fall look the same as the fall was supposed to look in 2020? So does our original non-league go back? So we're working on that. And that goes with scheduling, as far as already trying to schedule spring ball, summer ball, reaching out to the 8th graders at the schools that we're at, just sending flyers, letting them know, hey, this is what June's going to like. Not recruiting. Let me be very clear. I'm not recruiting, but sending out the flyers to our quote-unquote feeder schools. Already sent those out. Getting fundraisers ready to go. We're starting one on Monday. It's just a little online fundraiser, just trying to chip away at that $10,000 budget before that $10,000 goal before we get really into the next season. So, I mean, that's where it's like 2.5. It's like I'm still coaching, and we're still trying to get people ready, and we're still trying to get ready for a game. But then I'm also trying to work on the budget for the next year, get the games ready for the next year, get our scheduling ready for the next year, and then also get the 8th graders, get the information out to them so they know what's going on, plus staff. We got to restaff. We got to revamp our staff. We got couple things we got to address, and we got to revamp our staff this year for the coming years. We got to rebuild our junior program. We didn't have a junior program this year, pretty much got shut down, so we got to revamp that. So I mean, we got a lot of work to do from now until June, when we get into summer ball and things kind of be back autonomous, and they're just rolling and rolling and rolling. So we have a lot of things to do. Again, I don't know how many coaches are thinking about that. I assume a lot of them are. But I'm trying to think 3 steps ahead, and I'm trying to get ready to where I start budgeting already and get stuff ready for reconditioning everything next year. So as far as what does November and December look like next year? What does January look like next year / this year? So the end of 2021, I'm already trying to plan for that. So that's just kind of how my mind works. I try to think 6-7 months in advance to kind of get things done. I'll be sending out schedules to parents on Thursday as far as what the rest of the year looks like. So that's gonna be a fun one because again, I don't know if we'll end up just saying we're done, enjoy your going on to the other games or what. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, thank you for all the love and the support. This was just a current update of where we're at, and yeah, thank you so much again for the support and the love. Again, we'll probably do an update when we actually finish the season, whatever that looks like. So until then, probably doing a lot more scheme stuff in the back and maybe covering some more things like on fundraising, like how do I do my fundraising? Like what do I try to look for? What's a good fundraiser versus bad fundraiser? And just kind of share with you all the fundraisers I've ever thought of doing and what I've seen. So that'll probably be next Tuesday. I'll probably go over some fundraisers and things like that. And then this Thursday, I'll be looking at a 4-4 or 4-3 defense, kind of do some defensive stuff. Offensively, I'll probably come back to some gap down backer kind of things, some like little quasi wing T 22 personnel stuff. So in any case, thank you so very much. Have a great day. Be great. Push limits. Hold the line.